Get to know all your favorite VRChat DJs all in one place. This is VRC DJ Live.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to VRC DJ Live. My name is Rob Roman, and welcome to another episode of VRC DJ Live. We are live, and we're talking with your favorite DJs, with DJs, as well as other things coming down the road, including dancers and lighting and tours and producers and promoters and everybody across the gambit here in VRChat. And, of course, with it being a live show, we want to invite you to ask all of your favorite questions too. I'll also announce that have a very Merry Christmas, of course, as we are just the day after Christmas. So, of course, those people that did get a little bit of funds that are interested in learning about the latest DJ technology or where to put your money or even save your money for that matter, we could definitely incorporate that with a lot of the talks that we have going on today. And especially today, because we have a very unique guest joining us. Been in the game for some time now with the Vocaloid community, now branching out to so much more, including touring worldwide, gaining worldwide attention, especially in the Japanese market with the Lolita style. Over 430,000 monthly listeners on Spotify with their most popular tune, She's Homeless, reaching well over 25 million impressions. Please welcome to VRC DJ Live, Creepy.
Oh my God. Hi. Hey, I came as soon as I heard.
Right? I know
I came as soon as I heard.
We were sitting here, and like you're definitely showcasing. My nails aren't as pretty; they're just green. But like you're literally sitting there, like showing up.
I'm
your
like,
nails.
fuck my nails, dude.
Yes. Okay. So what's going on with your nails? Tell us a little bit about your nails.
Okay, so I try to be a little bit more, because everyone loves the gals, the gyaru. Like everyone loves them, so I had to like represent gyaru with the fucking nails. Am I allowed to curse like a sailor?
You can if you want to, yeah.
Period. Okay. So I love like deco nails, and I love the gyaru culture of the nails. Since I used to be a VTuber, I was a gyaru gal, so I had to do the hair. I fucked up on the makeup, but I had to make sure I kept the nails. So
I know we continuously go back and forth because obviously we hang out a lot, but I know that there's some point in time, there will be a time where we're gonna visit, and or Creepy's gonna come and visit and then get me all dolled up. And we haven't even discussed what your plans are for the real Rob Roman.
I'm just gonna do it.
What you're just we're not gonna even go shopping. We're not gonna even be able to be like, what do I want?
No, because you can't. Well, no, because Lolita, like with Lolita, like you can't really shop for it in person unless you're like in California.
Okay, so you're just gonna kind of bring over whatever you have, and then I'm just gonna
whatever I have, or I'm gonna buy you something, and I'm gonna be like, here's a gift.
I have a feeling that once you see something at a store, it's going to be a little bit more than that. It's not just going to be one thing. It's going to be many things.
Oh, but no, it's going to be the whole ensemble, bitch. It's going to be the whole ensemble.
Oh, man. So, but yeah, welcome to VRC DJ Live. Of course, for those people that are watching, feel free to ask Creepy all of the questions. And we're going to be kind of going down the gambit of all the different things that they've been kind of working on all year. And even kind of throwing it back, not only to like, again, we're going to talk about Miku, as it's one of our favorite topics here, of course, but of course, as well as just Lolita style and a lot of the other big things that we got going on. Before we get to that, though, obviously the biggest question being is what was going on Christmas style for you? What was big for Christmas for you this year?
I got, I kind of celebrate Christmas alone. The past 2 years I've celebrated alone, this year included. 2 years though, I believe it was 2 years in a row, or at least 1 year I celebrated with Mr. Creepypasta, one of my favorite people. Mwah, love him. And no, I kind of just keep to myself. I work, like I don't do anything crazy. I used to stream on Christmas, but like I got too busy. She got too booked and blessed, and I was like, I'm tired. I did, however, get a electric kettle, and that's been saving my ass. So listen, I didn't get anything for Christmas except for an electric kettle, and that's all I cared about.
I know for me, when it comes to like making hot chocolate or something, I'm using my roommate's coffee maker, or I have to boil water on the stovetop of an electric kettle. Like that takes care of everything, really.
it takes care of everything, but let me tell you, just get an electric kettle, put it in your room.
Mm,
Yes. Like,
mm.
it saved my life multiple times already, and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't need to make a mess."
Speaking about all the things you had kind of cooking up this entire year, I mean, it's such a laundry list, but take us back to if you could go as far back as early 2024. What was cooking?
Oh, I started off immediate. I was like, because for those who don't know, actually was on main stage for MagFest. That was the first of a a tidal wave of just show, gig, club, another club, bust, another club. Like it turned from MagFest to conventions like Techo and Amkey to like opening for like playing for Digital Stars for Miku Expo, opening for the Living Tombstone twice, may I add. Thank you very much. And just like so many different things like stumbled, and like I was it got so insane that I just like I was tired. I was like, fuck, dude, I'm tired. And like that's just on the DJ side. God forbid, like if we start talking about the production side, Lord help me now.
Mm.
Because that's also just been a whole whirlwind to the point like I got signed to my like dream label. Like it's been, like I said, like a whole whirlwind.
I know. I know we're going to talk a lot about Living Tombstone because I think a lot of people are hyper focused in, especially with
Yeah.
Sam doing a lot of work with Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss and the success of that, but also kind of continuing on with the whole Living Tombstone thing. I want to bring up, because I was just thinking about this, the fact that first of all, Sonic 3 in the movie theaters, what was it? They reached about $78 million just this weekend
Yeah.
alone, outside of the 38 million that the Mufasa movie came out with for Disney, and the fact that that they're literally doubling how much they're getting from that. Where do you think, because you did do a little bit of Sonic stuff earlier this year.
I did for Sonic Expo. You're right.
Yeah, so where do you think that where do you think all of this is going to culminate between the movies and a future Sonic Expo and your involvement with that?
I've already spoken to Sonic Expo, and people have already like shown interest in having me back. Um, there's a few talks I need to have before I solidify that. I've definitely thrown out a lot of names to them. From actually, you were brought up, like you specifically were brought up.
Get out.
From me. I brought up a few DJs that work at Sega. I brought up Japanese DJs who worked in the soundtracks. Like there's a lot going on that like I was like, okay, you need to like get these people, you need to get these people. And like there's also like some talks where I'm like, no. But I think as a whole, like when it comes to Sonic Expo, it was like my favorite con. It was like not too much. It was great. It was fun. Um, it wasn't hot. That was another thing. I was in Texas, and it wasn't hot,
Hmm.
and that's always good.
So I'm kind of wondering now that, because again, you've been doing so much this year, some
Mhm.
amazing things, and it's not even a matter of as it being a shock, the fact that you're doing all these amazing things. It's just a matter of like, it just again, show after show after show and event and
Book.
yeah,
Fuck.
back in the studio, out of the studio, all over the place, kissing babies and hugging people, and I guess I
Ugh.
don't know.
Never kissing a baby. Throw one.
Hug the baby,
Twitch,
kiss the
that's a joke.
people.
That's a joke.
So give us a little bit of an insight, because I think a lot of people when we do talk creepy, we talk a lot about your music and your contributions for your music. But now that you're getting a lot busier and you're moving around a lot, how does your day usually start when you wake up, outside of, get yourself a cup of coffee, go to the bathroom, take a shower? Do you just get a bunch of emails, or how does your day usually
So
work?
so usually I it's if I haven't been if I have slept, I usually wake up, I try to have some form of a breakfast. Um I go to the bathroom, check socials. I try to keep on social media in total about an hour. That is that I am checking my my It's Creepy Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that, right? Unless something pops up, I probably am not seeing it. And then the only thing that I kind of like stay on frequently is TikTok because I'm on it. I just like looking through it. And I spend maybe about 20 minutes on it. Um and then I usually have a Discord open all the time because I have two messaging things open, Discord and Line. My manager talks to me through both, but he really talks to me through Line a lot more. For those who don't know, Line is basically the Japanese equivalent of like AIM, Messenger, like all that. It's like it was here before Discord. Like Line has not died. So um what I usually do, I need to kind of usually break down what's happening. If I don't have a gig that week, I kind of just follow up with like any emails that I have, if I have any, because I'm not the one that usually deals with them anymore. It's my manager that does it. I talk to him and I check any messages he has. I do quick follow-ups with him. And if that's the case, then I either go into my checklist in which is like, okay, what do I need to finish? And that checklist as of recent has gotten very short, so I've gotten more free time. But I would probably try to get these bigger things out of the way for a chunk. Like I kind of mess with it like it's a 9 to 5. But I don't wake up at 9. I wake up at like 12. So like a 12 to 7 type of situation. And I do the bigger things for the first 4 hours, and then I kind of knock out the rest quickly. So like recording, lyrics, mixing, mastering, features. Like I do because the thing I'm doing in 2025 is like I want to do more features. So I've been talking to friends, seemingly like, hey, do you have something I can do? And then like I have like little features here and there. And I usually work on production. I keep very quiet about it because a lot of people are like, oh, do you not ever produce? I'm like, no, I'm producing usually a lot during the weekdays. On the weekends I don't work,
Right.
at least on production, unless I have to. If there's a deadline I need to meet, I have to do it. If I have a show, however, it usually depends. So if it's a show in New York, I'll do my usual thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, depending on when the show is, usually I take 2 to 3 days before the show. I will prepare the set. I'll dig through tons of music. I think I have like 3 terabytes worth of music that I will dig through. Um, and that's just like on my hard drive. That's not even talking about like me going to SoundCloud. Me going on Bandcamp, me going on places I cannot say because you need to legally buy your music. Um, so, um, and so I kind of scroll through and I try to find the best of the best. Or if it's something good, but I want to make it better, then I take it and I do like a quick little like mashup, bootleg, whatever. I actually got the mashup ideas from you.
Hey.
Um, so I will like dig for acapellas as well. If there's no acapella, I will find a way to rip the acapella from the song as cleanly as possible. And what else? Um and then I will work on a bootleg or two. I've made ones of Chow Garden. I made one of Pumpkin Hill. I made one of Cobra. Brand New Bitch. And some of them are available right now. Some of them you can get right now. The one that I haven't shared yet is of Welcome to Duloc. I have a I have a bootleg of Welcome to Duloc. Because I was gonna
Amazing.
play a show, but then I didn't, and I'm so bitter about it that I tell everyone that I give it to. You're not allowed to play this at this show. If you
Mm.
do, I'm deleting it, and I will like actually call you out on it. However, everyone's respected it. Because I give it to like best friends. Um, and but continuing on, then like after by 7, I'll like wrap up, and then that's when like I'll actually like take time to myself. I'll like play some of my favorite games. By the way, love Outlast Trials. Love Outlast Trials.
Mm.
It's like my favorite game in the world. But it's boring alone. I like playing with people, so like it's depends. Um, I'll have dinner. I'll just like have a normal day. I'll like I'll probably like look up some new horror films. Like I'll just like have like a normal night, and then like I'll jump into VC with friends for like 2-3 hours. And then like I'll wind down with either another horror film, a horror series, watching my friends stream, watching my favorite YouTubers, just like everyone thinks I have this like glam of a life, and I'm like, no, I actually like keep to myself. Like I'm very like to myself and very shush. Um and it's really shocking when people like are like, oh, okay, you're like kind of boring. And I'm like, yeah, you not see the life I live? Like, bitch, I want to be boring.
Yeah, it's not even a matter of being boring though. Again, like I think a lot of people they think that they never really think about the stuff that goes on in any artist's
Right,
life because of the fact that they're either expecting you to make new stuff or tour or
right.
I guess one of my favorite things I keep talking a little bit about on my regular streams is like I love to think about what Nicki Minaj is doing. Like how does she sleep? How does she wake
I
up? What
know
is her
exactly what that
routine?
woman. I
Yeah,
know exactly what
it's
that woman's doing. She's doing this. That's what she's doing.
a party. I mean, if she wants to party, go ahead.
I
But
mean,
still, all in all, but like again,
pardon
you do so much,
the-
and all of it is amazing. And I think a lot of people they don't think too much about that sort of thing. And even with the producing, I know we're gonna talk a little bit more about it a little bit later in the show. But like, just it's an artwork. Obviously, you can only
Oh yeah,
dedicate so much time to it before you either burn
right,
out or
right, and like, oh,
yep.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like one of the things I even do like when I'm sitting down and having dinner, I'll like pay attention to a lot of my friends like production styles. So like there's a few people I will like literally listen to their music, and if they have some form of tutorial or they're streaming it, like I will like pay attention because it's like I want to learn how you do that. Like how can I like, for lack of a better term, how can I copy you? How can I copy you, and how
Now,
can
how
I
can you
make it
make
my
it better?
own? Not even better. How can I make it my own?
There you go.
Because I think because I don't believe in taking something and making it better. I believe in taking it and making your own.
And it definitely just making it into your style too.
Well, exactly.
And speaking of which, is a really good transition piece here. But I know we kind of touched a little bit upon She's Homeless, and while it has been a little bit of time since its release, again, it's been so refreshing to see on your social medias of how steadily successful it's been getting time and time again, and
Oh
having
yeah.
so many listens to and having, I don't want to say a cult following, but at the same time, it's fire. It's totally fire. To be able to play that. But what I really want to touch upon is the latest track that you got, Flatline. I know that was a really big deal for you. I know the collaboration with that was tight and tense. Give us a little bit about that and the process you took to kind of make that.
Oh my god. I am so happy you asked about this because I love telling this story. So, She's Homeless had gone viral by this point. And I'm like in shock. Like everyone's in shock. I had my manager at the time, and we were all just kind of like, holy shit, like this is insane. And so I'm on TikTok. Remember, like I would have this like thing where I would be on TikTok for about an hour or so, right? Oh, excuse me. And I was scrolling on TikTok, and then I get a DM. And it's by someone named Joe Fight, right? So I want you to keep that name in mind. Joe Fight had messaged me. I could even pull up the DM. Do you mind if I pull up this DM?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we got
Like
plenty of time.
I remember that Joe Fight.
It might take a little
No
bit of time,
way.
especially with the nails. There's a
No,
good
that is
opportunity for a
nails
lot of
again.
people to remind people in chat too that again, VRC DJ Live, we're doing it live. So while we don't have aggressive nails to be working on here, but since we are live and you guys are in chat, feel free to drop off some questions if you have a diary question you want to ask Creepy about their writing style, the tour. I know we're going to touch a little bit about Living Tombstone because that was kind of a recent thing, but basically anything. We're actually going to be talking a little bit about their involvement within VRChat as well, but. How's that process coming along? I only gave you like 10
It's
seconds.
going slow, but I got her. Okay. So I liked the post of his, right? And I knew nothing about Joe Fight by this point. This was a dumb thing on me. This was dumb on me that I should have realized. So I'm like, hi. And like, so he like waved like, oh, like, hello. Like, because like, on TikTok, it'll give you the option to like send a message.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent 3 waving, and I was like, hi. And I'm like, oh my God, like your music is really cool. This is I would like to say I am reading it like verbatim. Like, and so this is Joe Fight. Mind you, I am a huge hardcore Tanoshi fan. Which is a collective of hardcore DJs, like hardcore JP EDM DJs, essentially, right? So then he says, hi, my name is DJ Miyosuke from Japan. I love your music. I threw my phone.
Straight up.
I threw my phone. DJ Miyosuke is like the one him and Usawa were the 2 people like I really honed in on at Hardcore Tanashi. I like cried. I was like, shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me? It took me 5 minutes to respond because I was freaking out so bad. And so I'm like, I'm a huge fan. Thank you so much. It means so much. And he's like, oh, you know me? I'm like, I do. It's like, please. So it's like, it's nice meeting you. Like, holy shit. And he's like, I said, super excited for your future projects and would even love to be a part of it one day. And he said, let's collabo if you want. And collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I responded for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what were you like instantly? What were you thinking? Did you have an idea in mind?
I
You were just
crying.
like crying.
I was a mess. Like everything, like up to this point, I was already excited about. That was like, I don't give a fuck about any single one of you right now. I won. You're ugly. You lose. Like I won. And like I was so excited. I was like boo-hooing how excited I was. And we exchanged Discord, and the song fun fact was originally a song for Akume Iku, which is a parody of a certain blue bitch. And I had removed that girl's vocal to give to Miyosuke because it's like I don't want like this NSFW like moaning in like this song, like let me remove it. And I gave it to him, and it was a good bass. And then we just kind of went back and forth. He gave me something for the actual song itself. And then I produced a chunk of it. Like I think I produced like 80% of it. I sent it back to him. He shortened it, and then I kind of recreated where it was shortened. And then I sent everything over to him. He sent it back. And then I wrote the lyrics with my friend Freest. They're really cool like lyricist, and they actually also helped me with another song, yeah, we wrote the song. I was having a hard time writing the song and doing the vocals. So unfortunately the song kind of took a year to make. But once it was done, I sent it over back to him, and he sent back the final. And then I think like almost immediately, No Bonus, who was my video editor, was like, please let me do Flatline. I want to do Flatline. This is like my favorite song from you. Like, please. And I think we had that video done in like 2 weeks. Like I had already had the art. I already had the idea. We had that video done. And from there on in, like literally from there on in, like we had nothing, like everything else is history. Like I got to be a part of a song with Miosuke. Like that's literally where it ends. And like I've even talked to him, like he wants to do another one. And I'm like,
I know, I was
one
gonna
wasn't
say, like,
enough?
I mean, yeah, I mean that piece was amazing too. Like, I got to listen to it. I'm just like, why haven't I learned about this? I know you were talking about it with me a little while ago, but of course things happen within months. But you're sitting here and I was listening, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, dude, this is fire. I'm having,
Yeah.
I'm having real
Like
fun with this tune.
and it's really funny because people forget, like, I can go hardcore. Like I can go hardcore. Because like if you listen to Dog Walk, like there's hardcore elements, but it's not hardcore. But like you can tell where I'm from. Like you can tell, like, oh, this bitch listens to hardcore. So like some of the breaks that are used, some of the kicks that are sort of used. Like if you're like a really anal about about production, you will know exactly where things are. And you're like, wait, I hear that. Like a good friend of mine always points out every now and again any samples that I have, and I'm like, bitch, fuck you. Like stop doing that. Like you know where the sample's from. Fuck you. But yeah, no, when it comes to Flatline, it was a dream come true. I wanted to be in a rhythm game, but it's a little too vulgar, so I don't know if that's possible.
hmm
But yeah, I wanted to be in like a rhythm game, like really bad.
A really good example of all of this too is just kind of bringing light to the fact that people are watching. You know, people are watching, people are listening, and whether or not you think that they are or not, you know. And this is actually a really good topic to bring up, especially with like drama on social media and stuff like that. Like, you can represent yourself any way that you choose. On this, not well, not you don't need to shade yourself, but honestly too, yeah, because again, while you're out there and you're cooking and you're making stuff, and I know you were saying how some people, you know, they kind of give you shade a little bit about like, oh, how come we haven't heard anything new from Creepy in a while? I mean, obviously you got to cook. It takes time to cook. You know, it takes time
Yeah,
to get these ideas. And when you do, and you showcase it to some of the people in your community and the people that you're active with, like someone somewhere at some point in time is going to hear you and go, huh, how come I haven't heard about this person in a while? You know?
right. And then like sometimes and sometimes they'll come back and they'll be like, wait, you're still doing things? And I'm like, yes. Yes, not only am I not only doing things, it sounds completely different than what you've heard. What, 8 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Like y'all dropped off. Not my problem.
Well, also too, like you've been busy with your touring and doing all these different shows as well. And I know one of the things I wanted to kind of ask you a little bit about was, I know for me, understanding how to create music and create a song. I know a lot of people I've been talking with, they said, oh, I start with a melody. Oh, I start with this. How does that process, do you ever find yourself in that process, especially when you're touring, especially even this year? Because I mean, that would take up a lot of
Oh,
time.
absolutely. Like I have voice memos in my phone of like me like just go but like it's just making stupid like um melodies just to like bring back and try to recreate. Um and like I said earlier, like I want to do more features, so I'll get the beat from people and I'll like take the beat and then I'll like, so if I have like a hotel room, I'll like turn it on and then I'll press record. And one of the things that I do is like just kind of scat on the beat. Scat as in singing.
Mm-hmm.
Freaks. I know who you are. I know who you are.
Watch, they'll make an entire scat album.
I know they're gonna make a whole thing. I gave you a sound bite. Fuck. Basically I go like it'll be a beat and it'll be like ba da boo da la da like, and then like that's literally how my next single happened. Like I literally went ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da da da. That's how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll come back, I'll either write the lyrics myself or I'll work with someone to write these lyrics on. And every now and again, and every song that I have there's one line that like demolishes the whole song. Like, be like, oh shit. So like, just a little bit of a leak. The next single, the pre-chorus is like, it's gonna get a little vulgar, so forgive me. It literally goes, um, beat it up, no, eat it up like you're a cannibal, beat it up like you're an animal. All you bitches are too fucking flammable. Send in a zip, put your dick in my like, and there's like a bite, like there's like a bite notification with the when I say put your dick in my mandible, like it's so stupid. Like
It was funny
a
because when
lot
you
of
were doing that, the last couple of lines there were clipped a little bit, so your mouth was doing the thing. But at the same time,
oh
it was
shit,
it's like, ooh, it's got censored in real time.
did it really get I said all of you bitches are too fucking flammable. Sit and unzip, put your dick in my mandible.
There it is. Okay.
Um, and like every single song that I've written has one line like that. So there was that, like, what was it? Flatline had one too. I'm not even, no. Fuck, what was it on Flatline? There was one, I was like, I think it was just the chorus. Like the chorus was the, oh, this is how it feels to make a motherfucking flatline. That was that was the line.
Mm.
There's always just like one line that like really solidifies and puts the song all together. But at least when it comes to production, I always try to start on the melody. But as of recently, I've been making a bass line, not a bass line, but like a bass of like the kicks and the snares and how I want things kind of structured. So I know how like how I want that part at least, and then I'll like go back and I'll like do melodies or do samples or whatever the fuck I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll like go off that.
But you definitely find a lot of that inspiration when you're touring as well, or is that just something does that happen a lot?
If I'm not stressed, yes, I do find it a lot.
Nice.
If I'm stressed, don't look at me unless I have this in my hand. My liver is fucking ruined because of this.
You only live once, so you could be you could be dying an old person later on down the road and not have done it, or you could be dying as an older person who has done it when you were
Exactly. So a lot of the times I'm like, I would rather die young, but make sure I've done everything that I do
older.
and live old and regret everything.
Yeah, and that's the life of the tour, I guess. I mean, that's what I'd be doing, at least when I'm on tour. I know, again, we did touch a little bit upon the fact that you just got off the tour with Living Tombstone. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit, obviously, down the road, because that's super important to talk about. But because this is VRC DJ Live, I want to bring us back to your when you first got into VRChat, how you got interested in VRChat, and more importantly, again, it's been several years since you've been in here, doing a lot of things. Take us on a little bit of a journey on how you even learned about VRChat and how you even got in here to do some stuff.
So, the first time I got in, y'all are not gonna like this sentence. For those who are veterans, I was around during the Knuckles thing. I was around during that. I came in during that because I thought that was really funny, but I have also heard that VRChat had a really bad reputation at that point, so I was hesitant. I had gone on once for 10 minutes, but that was really it. Later on down the line, I ended up seeing some friends go on with Odyssey Eurobeat. Odyssey Eurobeat and friends went on, and I was like, you know what? I want to jump on. I want to see what's all this about. And so it was me, her, and another few friends who we jumped on. And I jumped in, and then I met 3 people who were a frequent on VRChat, 2 of which I am still friends with today. And one of them, I just texted one of them the other day, and they kind of showed me around. This was when, some of y'all will probably know this. This was when I was one of the nanachis. I was one of the nanachis. And I was doing all that. what was it? It might have been the gig with you, Rob,
Hmm.
that I started doing DJ gigs because this was also during the time of COVID that I started doing DJing. I was doing them online, on Zoom, on Twitch, but I never did one in VR. But people in VR saw that I was doing it. So someone that we knew, like we know, but mm, um, invited me, and it was like one of these like gigs I didn't really know much about, and I believe one of them ended up being in. Oh no, I remember the first gig. I actually do remember the first gig. It was Slyfest.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Slyfest was my first
that
gig.
was where we
That was the
first
first
met
gig.
up. Was it was 2020 Slyfest.
It
Uh,
was 2020 Slyfest, and
how
that was
did
my
you
first.
even get invited to that? Did somebody reach out to
I
you?
was not invited.
Oh.
I actually reached out. I was like, "Hey, I want to play. Can we play?" And Sly and I had talked. He was a little hesitant about it because he didn't know who I was, and he just put me on the lineup. And to this day, a lot of people still talk about that set. And I'm like, "Why? That wasn't even that good." But you know what? I'm not.
Right,
You
right.
know what? It was good for them, and that's when I first met Rob. That's when I met a lot of the VR scene. And then it just kind of kept going steady and steady and steady. And eventually, I started doing IRL. My first official gig that I call my official gig. My first official gig was at MagFest, like IRL in 2022. Was it 2022? 2021 or 2022, I forget. It was at Pose. And that was my first time playing on official gear. And I remember Ben Briggs like was like, this is the first time, and then I ate the girls up, and he like, I remember he like grabbed me by the shoulder and he was like, first time I fucking ass. And I'm like, and I was like, no, this was really my first time with this gear, like I've never played it. And so now it's 2024. A lot of people have noticed that I've disappeared, essentially. Like, sorry, no offense, but I got a gig to do, girl. She's booked and blessed. I gotta go. And I haven't really logged in. The only person I've logged in for was Onumi. Onumi was the only person I really logged in for to do a set. I
Mhm.
think within the year, I've only logged in to do a set twice. And they were both for Onumi.
It's interesting how even in the past 4 years, and I'm going to say something that might be a little trigger worthy too, especially for you, is the fact that when we were explain, I'm going to explain. So we obviously we performed in 2020. Obviously, with Slyfest, things have gotten much larger with the DJ scene in virtual reality. Even so
Mhm.
much so that what we like to call in this program the boom of 2022, where we have a ton of people coming into VRChat to perform. And since the boom of 2022, we have literally thousands of DJs now in VRChat ready to
Mhm.
get their feet wet, ready to get in, try to be all over the place with their genres and their performing styles. And what's so interesting about the boom of 2022, in my opinion, as well as yours too, is that the kids that do come in 2022, they don't really care too much about the nostalgia because that never really existed for them. That struggle and that life never really existed uh, pre Udon, when the Udon came
Mhm.
over and kind of switched up a lot of the game. So from what you've been hearing and what you've been seeing and what I've been also been kind of telling you from time to time with the VR chat DJs, what is your just zero? Okay, let
No, no,
me.
no, 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 no. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm looking, I'm looking, I'm
okay,
looking.
yeah. I was
No,
like,
no,
you're
I'm not
saying
the
zero,
hero.
but
No, that's shady boots. No, I'm not.
yeah.
Listen, I'm shady, but not that shady.
So I kind of want to know what your opinions on it, especially because again, when you first came in and you were doing Slide Fest, and while people learned about the things that you've done, compared to all of the DJs and the different opportunities they got in here, where do you think we're kind of headed as far as a lot of the DJs in VR chat doing the thing?
Oh shit. I have some opinions. Some of you will not be happy. I'm sorry if I'm gonna be honest. one of the issues that I have is that people are trying to fully replace IRL with VR. That's not happening. I'm sorry. That's not happening. There have been cases where I feel like VR is safer than IRL. I've had many a conversation with multiple. However, that is one thing that I do sit and go and say, please don't try to replace VR. I mean IRL with VR. That's not happening. I'm sorry. And I think while you guys are seeing an increase, that's fine. But I think while there is an increase in interest in all this, I don't think a lot of people will like really take it further than just VR. And as kind of shitty as that sounds, I've been proven right time and time again. Like, I can name maybe 15 people within my 4 years that have done it successfully, willingly. I will say willingly. There have been people who like want to do it but physically cannot, and that I do not include them. I do not include them because that's not fair. However, if I'm talking about people who are able to sit and DJ in person at a club and have some really cunty vibes, I don't think a lot of people can do it. Because one of the things that a lot of people forget is that these are different. They are very, very, very different. And trust me, you will be humbled quick.
It's so interesting too, especially over the fact that yes, as of recently, there have been a ton of new DJs coming into the scene. I know we've talked a little bit about it, like maybe 2 years ago, about the cookie cutter, getting like the light version of the software because it's free, getting the DDJ 400 because it's only a $400 model, and you could technically still do all of the fun things that you can do with it. No hate or shade for the people that do the, huh?
It's $400 now?
Well, the DDJ 400 is $400, give or take.
Mine was like 100.
Oh.
Inflation, girl.
You never know. Yeah, I mean, listen, they've got some much smaller units. Yeah, they got so much. They have a DDJ 200 now, and that's about 285 or something like that. Like again, I actually
had a DDJ 200 first. I realized that was the wrong one, and then I lied, said I never got it, and I bought 400.
But I know
they gave me a full refund.
Yeah. Save it. It's a relic now. But
oh no, I give it away.
Dang.
No, the 200 I gave it to a friend who really wanted to learn DJing, and like now she's like she's a beautiful DJ in New York. Like, I gave it to her pre-transition, and then she like, for some reason, in Brooklyn specifically, every trans girl that I know turns into a DJ, and I'm like, girl, diva, nothing. We need engineers, and then the bitches start coding, and I'm like, okay, wait.
We need new audio technicians.
A lot of the trans girls also do that too, and I'm like, oh.
I know in VR, it's strange because you do have a lot of people that see the DJs when they do come in here and they do hobby work, and then just like, oh, well, if they're doing it, then I can do it. And then that's kind of where the influx kind of spread, where it was just like, oh, $400 model's a $400 model, we can get in here to do that. But when it does come down to it, and this is the $1 million question, especially on this program, is understanding how much can you do it as a hobby compared to if you're getting really good, where's the fine line between hobbyist and professional, especially moving forward. So I think that will be the $1 million question for you, is getting that understanding of how do we address the line, and how can you continue on with that success outside of just being like, well, I'm a VRChat DJ, and then you really want to just go to mainline DJing.
I say, ooh, that's a good one. Personally, if I'm paying $400 for a DJJ 400, I'm considering it serious. I'm not considering it just in VR. I had already wanted to DJ back in 2019, in 2020, before COVID, because I went to MagFest On February 2020, I was gonna start DJing. Guess what happened in March? COVID.
Yeah.
So I had already been interested, and I saw that there was a community already there. So I was like, I want to take this more seriously, and so I invested my money. Well, it was like $100, but I invested my money into the DJ 4. I think it's a 440 actually. Now that I think about it, I have to look at it, but like it's sat right next to me. It's on my left, like it's never left, and I knew that I wanted to take this more seriously, and that was the thing. If I'm spending money on it, mm, I would say like if it's something that I can turn it into a career or something I was already interested in as a career, and then there's a pipeline where I can just kind of practice, I'm gonna go down that pipeline. And when it comes to people, kind of like dropping $400 on this like gear, I do kind of tell them like, hey, this is $400. That's people's rent. That's people's money. That's people's like grocery money. If you want to do this, I think you should take it seriously. And I think you should go further than just VR. Of course, like I said earlier, there are people who like literally cannot and only stay in VR due to sorry, it's gonna get a little political,
Ooh,
so please
spicy.
forgive me. It's gonna get a little spicy, so it's like where it's like the basic things, like for example, you're disabled and you physically cannot leave your home. Or your area is not safe, like you cannot leave your home, whether it be like due to you're stuck in your home due to abuse situation or transphobia or homophobia in your area, and like you're afraid to step outside. um if it's like anxiety, if it's like there's a there's a there's a term for it, that the fear of people, I forget the name. Agoraphobia, is that what it is?
Not sure.
I think it's agoraphobia. And all of this just equals just, I think it should be taken I think if people are gonna spend the 400, I think it should be taken more serious. I think you should like, if you're looking at this and be like, oh, I really want to start DJing, the question I will then ask you is, okay, do you want to do it in VR chat or do you want to do it in period? Like, do you just want to DJ period? If they say VR chat, I'm gonna recommend them cheaper models. I'm gonna be like, if you just want to do this as a hobby, I personally tell you maybe look into a cheaper model, because that's a lot of money. And if they decide to choose the $400 model, at that point, that's on you. That's your money. That's your burden. That's not my problem. But if you tell me, oh, I want to take this seriously, I'll be like, buy the $400 model, because but you've seen the DDJ 400, so it's not exactly what was gonna be needed, but it starts the big baseline of like what the DJ M900 looks like, what the CDJs look like, what the XDJs look like. Like, it starts you off pretty well. And then being like, okay, if you really want to do this, I recommend also looking in your area, looking in your general area, and being like I would say practice in VR, practice your transitions, practice everything you possibly can. And then look around in your area and be like, hey, I want to play this. Or if there's an open dex, be like, hey, can I play this? Can I submit my name? And slowly get your name around everywhere. And then later on if later on down the line you can't even say you didn't try. And then I'll be like, you know what? It wasn't in fault. It wasn't in not. You paid the $400. You did the damn thing. You know what? Period. But I don't want people to pay the $400, do only VR for maybe like a year, and then quit. Now what do you look like? You spent $400. Like, I would say that, to be fair, I would say the same thing about VR. Don't buy a full headset. Don't buy a full headset, full But full body tracking, if you only really plan on being there for a year, that, and I would let you know, I'm talking out of experience. I have a full uh FBT.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time I logged into VR in full body?
Right.
Right, and I regret it. So this isn't coming out of like malice. This isn't me trying to be spiteful or petty at anyone. This is coming out of an experience. Like, I need to take down a lot of my VR things because it's like I don't use it. I don't use it.
That's a tough scenario too, because even during the holidays, there's a lot of people that are actively being like, well, I want full body. I want to be able to wear my full body while doing things. But in reality, I mean, we'll be honest is the fact that one of the jokes is like, once you get full body, you're just kind of laying in bed and you're like laying down and you're comfortable laying down. But you spent the $300, $400 to just lie down.
Lay down. What's funny is that I will say, I did, when I invested it, I did make my money back. I did make my money back. I was a VTuber, as a lot of you know. I was a VTuber. I made my money back. And so in that regard, I guess I made my money back, but I still regret it. Like, I wish like I kept just like my Quest, my hands. I didn't need all that. I didn't need. So if anyone wants a full VR setup, like, let me know. No, I'm not gonna get. I will say I'm not gonna get rid of it for, like, you know. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll come back. But
Yeah.
as of right now, I have no interest really to like fully resubmerge myself. At least that's creepy. At least that's creepy. I'm not gonna talk about. My brain has done a lot of thinking, and there have been some ideas thrown around. But if I come back into VR, it will not be under creepy, unless it's like I'm doing a friend. Like, if you ask me to like play a set for you, I'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like really close friends, I'll be like, work. And then, but I also have to look at the lineup.
That's important too. Yeah. Again, and even too, like, no hate, no shade, no lemonade or anything like that. But like, it just recently too, you know, even for myself, when people get me on and they try to book me in VRChat gigs, they make the mistake of having me as an opener, and I'm like, oh,
I literally put that in my contracts.
Yeah.
Sorry. As someone who has made you open like 3 times, sorry.
Yeah, it's just the fact that it's just like I'm like, you should do your research a little bit. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest on the planet, but there will be times where I have a really good moment, and I'm like, okay.
To be fair, when I do, okay, so I'm gonna expose myself here. I book. If you guys haven't seen any of the other episodes, specifically one with Mr. Creepypasta, he does HorrorCon. I'm the person that books for HorrorCon's rave. They have specifically requested, and I have also wanted Rob multiple times. I am the reason he opens. I'm sorry. And
Nice.
I would like to say sorry. But I would like to defend myself in saying the way that I had the lineup was genuinely how quick people were. So, like, how vicious people were. So you were the one that, like, when everyone...
Yeah, you start the party, yeah.
Yeah, you start the party, and I know you could turn the party, and then slowly it gets more and more intense. Like, I was kind of peeking through, and I was kind of talking to people while I was... So, fun fact, I was in Japan when HorrorCon was happening, and I had talked to everyone. Like, I had been talking to people who were there, and some of the people that people really liked were you, Six Stroke, and Abaddon. Those 3, like, they loved everyone. I would like to make that clear. But those were the 3 that people really talked about. I have heard Abaddon's name, I had heard your name, and I had heard Six Stroke's name. The only reason they... Like, everyone already knows Onumi. So, like, I already knew I was gonna hear Onumi's name. But the 3 that popped up a little bit more were them. Like, were you guys. And I was like, oh, yes! Especially, I would like to say especially Abaddon. I would like to say especially Abaddon. I was like, girl, let me work. I know how to curate a lineup. Let me do this. Let me do this! And I was right.
But that's the thing too,
Wow.
is that especially when it comes to these types of venues and these types of club experiences too, that like you kind of do have to do a little bit of your research too, because like obviously if you were to open for almost anybody, you would. I don't want to even bring up the fact that like a couple of years ago I opened for Teddy Lloyd, and we all know how that happened, where I got a bigger crowd than Teddy.
Oh, I know. Oh, I was aware.
So
I
like
was made fully aware.
I don't want to put my hands up or anything, but I've had that experience where like that has happened, and I'm just like, and even in VR that happens occasionally too, where
Right.
somebody's just like,
And like,
oh, we probably should have had him on a little bit
and
later.
obviously this isn't obviously shade at anyone. If anything, it's more like I kind of sit there and I'm like, I'm happier y'all are also getting the breaks that you want, like
Mhm.
the breaks that you need, and it makes me happy personally.
Yeah.
It makes me personally happy because it's like I curated this line. My whole thing, and the one thing I will always say is that I have taste. I have taste, and no one can tell me I don't. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't have the numbers I have, I wouldn't have the clothes I have, and I wouldn't have the opportunities I got. So I would like to just say that really quick.
It's kind of great too, especially because since we continuously talk a lot about the different things about either performing in virtual reality as a hobby, as part of a professionalism, and we do keep going back and forth of being like, all right, we got to find as a hobbyist DJ in VR, we do have to step outside and touch the grass, as they say, or even talk to promoters or go to those IRL experiences, because at some point in time there is that finer line of saying, hey, you can potentially make some money with this, with your trade, and do really good with it, but you have to talk to those types of people. And I know you were just kind of talking a lot about that too, with the fact of being able to go to a lot of these live clubs. But I think a lot of people, again, there's a lot of times where people are too hesitant to do that. But in order to do that, you gotta do it. So the fact that, again, I want to reiterate a little bit, because of the fact that it's not a matter of me saying, oh, I will never take an opener lineup, but at the same time, it's good practice if I ever try to. Or people miss out if they come in late and they're just like, oh,
Yeah,
no,
like,
Rob
that's my
Roman
whole
was doing
thing.
it. But
And like,
where I was going with it was like, I remember what I was gonna say. Hey, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and say what you had to say with that?
so when it comes to, so I had like it, I hate opening to the point where it is in my contracts. It is in my contracts that I do not open and I do not close. Mainly because I'm EP. Um, I literally take a nap before my sets. So, it actually happened at AWA recently. I had to close and I hated it. So I was like, I'm taking a 2-hour nap. All of you leave me alone. I don't care about what any of you say. And then I woke up late. But it's okay. I still made it to my set. But it just turns back into this whole discussion of the one thing that I also want to bring up is also like everyone's like, oh, you're playing with these people, and then you just proved it yourself. You had a bigger crowd than Teddy. Numbers don't matter. Like, to me, numbers don't matter. Can you bring the party? Can you turn the party? Can you bring the vibe? Can you serve cunt? If that's my question, can you turn the party? That's why I will never turn down someone if I don't think they can't turn the party. If I think they can't turn the party, I will say no. If I think you can turn the party, and I've seen your sets, I've seen how you play, because the one thing also that people don't realize is like, careful who you talk to. You don't know who you're talking to.
Right. Yeah. You got to
And
do a
I
little
will
bit of
tell you,
your research. Yeah.
oh, not even that. Because so this is where I reveal something here. I had gone undercover on a different account to the big clubs in VR, big and small, for 2 years. I've gone on this account for 2 years. I am friends with the same people that I am currently friends with on my main account. This person disappeared. The 2-year person has disappeared. I love these other people because they treat me the same way they treat them. I also am the reason I am also the reason that, no, I am also, and this is also the same reason I do not like specific people because you treat me this way, you treated this person this way, I acted the exact same way. I made sure to act the exact same way. You didn't like this person, but you were okay with me? No.
Yeah.
I
And
don't like
again,
that.
it's just a matter of understanding your research and the people that you want on your lineup and being able to cultivate that type of lineup. And
Right.
especially
And
in virtual reality, it's kind of tough because you do have people that are interested in that trade,
Mhm.
but sometimes they are learning, sometimes they
this
get it
is
right,
this
sometimes
is
they don't.
this is where I actually have to tell you, you ran into this account and you were very nice to me. You ran into
Nice.
the account. Abby has run into the account. Nier has run into the account. Many people have run into that account. And that's why I respect so many people. That's why I respect you. That's why I respect Abby. That's why I respect like a lot of the scene. So sorry to cut you off. It was just like something like in my ah. I have been
No,
like
no, this is super important to bring up because of the fact too that like this is something that happens day to day to day. While a lot of people that are in chat, they're thinking that this is a shady practice, or it could turn into a shady practice. What in the
yeah.
reality
I
of it
was
all, like the industry, the regular entertainment industry, as well as the DJ scene and doing
It's
these
even
larger
worse.
gigs, yeah, it's aggressive. It's very aggressive. It's very straightforward.
Very
It's very
aggressive.
cutthroat, and you all you could ever do is your best in the
Mhm.
business to cultivate a good allied system.
Right. And so that's why that's why you'll see me have all these comments and concerns because I saw both sides. I literally saw both sides. I saw someone who had a name who like everyone was like super nice to and everyone respected, but then I also saw how you treated someone with very little to no name. And if you can treat both of us the same, I'm gonna respect you 30 times more. And then you're gonna see me like really like put your name out there. And people get confused. And I'm like, why are you like people have literally come up to me and be like, why are you putting these people on the spot? And I'm like, because I respect them, but I don't tell them that I have been doing this. And like, is that shady? I don't really give a shit. Because also, to be fair, that account was for me to kind of disconnect from everyone.
I mean, honesty is the
I would
best
like to make that
policy.
clear. My main reason for that account was because I just wanted to sit and vibe. I just wanted to vibe and have a cute little time.
Mm-hmm.
However, I started doing that because I wanted to see, do you treat me the same? And the friends I have now treated me the exact same way. And I was like, and so if you are my friend in VR, you have definitely run into this account. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm pretty sure I deleted it. But
It's one of the stepping stones, especially in virtual reality too, learning about the business is a lot of people when they do come in here, they do get influenced about the limelight and
Mhm.
drawing really large crowds or performing for like millions of people or hundreds of people or in this case 80 people because that's the capacity that we
Cap-
have in here. Yeah, but but even when you do that, it's kind of something that we have to continuously remain humble upon is the
yeah,
fact that when you do come in here, you are performing, but our bubble isn't as wide as the entire world.
right,
So you could be
right,
famous in here
right.
or be well known in here, but it's even trickier to even be able to say like, well, even though we do this and we have a good time with it, it's hard to even get more people involved outside of our bubble interested in the things that we do.
I will even tell you, friends of mine who are very well known have been in this game because they knew about these DJs. Not once. There have been very, 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 very few people that these people will go and like go out of their way for. Because they see how they themselves are treated. Because I have had people ask like how's the VR da, 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 da. And I tell them, don't go in with your normal name. That will be an immediate influence. Do not go in with your normal name,
Except for Rob Roman.
except for Robert. Do not go in with your artist name. Do not go with your like the most well-known name. You can have that account, but don't go in on that account. Go in under someone no one knows about. Like someone named Zombie Farter 300. I would, if that person came in, I wouldn't think much of it. Next thing you know, that might be Skrillex.
Yeah, you never really know.
You never know who's behind the screen, and so that's why I'm like, if they're being a dick to you, that's different. Obviously, I say defend yourself, be a dick back. But if like they're not really doing anything, if they're maybe at most being annoying, maybe pull them aside and be like, hey, like 10 to 2, come on, like let's keep the club cute. Let's keep the club cute.
And again, too, like, and I don't really call VR chat a kind of a game. I call it a social simulation, only because of the fact that, just like with Flatline, you really never know who's watching and who has much greater influence. And again, if you're reserving your fact to be called Zombie Fart 4000 or something like that, you better either live up to your name, Zombie Fart 4000, or the fact that, or because again, you never really know. And that actually resonates really well based on the experiences that I've had too. You know, I've had a couple people that have been in here that have other influence outside of VR chat that have given me a lot more life experience. But that's the one thing too, is like getting a better understanding of our community and how we do want to run things. There are a ton of people in here that just want to do hobby stuff, but guess what? After 3 years of DJing in VR chat, I would only assume there's got to be somewhere down the line where something's got to give, where you want to do something more professional. So here's the question, and I'll give you another question too. What would be the steps that somebody, let's just say in 2025, they want to, continue their professional DJ career, and even start, how would you think that they should be networking in the future?
Before you network, I say start with a really solid library. Like, I mean, you are formulating your taste. Because taste okay, so I say always start with figuring out what you want to play. Once you figure that out, mold your entire library. Like, if you're just starting off, mold your library. Make it into something that you want to listen to. Like, so a lot of the things that I play are club. It's club music. Like, it is, I'm going to make sure you are popping your fucking pussy at the club. And I morph it around that, and then later on down the line I might, I'm like into hardcore, I'm into speed house, I'm into this. I will morph it. But once you get like kind of like the basis of what you want to play, how you start networking, you go to these clubs. Go to the clubs, be in the online communities. Sometimes you can't even be in the club, right? You can't really physically be in the club, and that's okay. I personally say like you don't need to be in the club. But a lot of people would say otherwise. I say get like make DJ mixes, like make your mixes. Post them on SoundCloud. People are watching on SoundCloud. Those 400, like those 10 listens, those 400 listens, one of those people could be like a label owner. One of those people could be a promoter. One of those people can be anything. Like, I have literally seen in my analytics Billboard people. I've literally seen label heads. I have seen everything in the books that I have seen. If you ask me about someone, I can tell you if I've seen them or not. And you wanna be in the online community. You wanna try to make it to the shows. I'm gonna be real with you. If I'm working a 9 to 5 and there's a show at 10, I might not go. I'm tired. I just did a 9 to 5. But if you really, really, really want to, I would say it might be a good idea to show face. I used to be very against it, but like as of like growing and all that, I've kind of seen like, okay, it's part of the game. It's a good idea to show face. It's always a good idea to show face. And like see who the promoter is. Kiki with everyone, but be nice to everyone. Unless they like throw a drink at you, and then at that point just but at that point, it's just like you want to know you want to know who you're working with. What are you working with? Are you working with a really cool promoter who like just kind of gives a fuck about the music, or are you working with a sex pest? Are you working with a freak?
Mm-hmm.
Because like the showing face thing isn't just for you. It's for you to see who you're working with.
Right.
Who are you working with? Are you working with someone good, or are you working with a piece of shit?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like where I would start. And if there's an open deck to see if like, hey, do you have space? Like, I'd like to be a part. And this is coming from someone, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna admit it, I never did an open decks. I was always booked. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
girl. But but if there was an open decks I was super interested in, oh no, I might pop in. I might be like, hey girl. I almost did it at Anime Expo,
Give it a shot.
but I didn't because my plane ticket got canceled. Because there was a show, it was a whole thing. But doing all these things, doing all these things does add up. It adds up.
Because
And
you
like
never really know who's
you
watching. Yeah.
exactly. You don't know who's watching. And next thing you know, like for example, my friend 628 um literally had just turned 18. Um I only say friend now because like he was 18. He was like kind of in our circles, but like he had just turned 18, so we were talking a little bit and he was posting they were posting, excuse me. Sorry, 6. 628 by the way, not
Oh, that other
not
guy. Yep.
not the other guy. Um 628, mwah, love them. And they were doing all this and they were like finally doing shows because they were 18. Next thing we know, they're opening for fucking Marshmallow.
Yeah.
Like you don't know who's watching.
Mm.
Literally, that was the case with me and MagFest. I played for a room for 0 people. 0.
Mm-hmm.
0.
But you did
Next
it.
year, I get a notification being like, hey, you were chosen. And literally, I spoke to that woman today. I mean, today. A few weeks ago. And she tells me I was the one that picked you. And how did I know? I was in your set for 30 minutes. Those 2 people that were there was her and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I played for 2 people. It was her and her husband.
It's all it takes.
And then they chose me immediately. And because of MagFest, everything blew up for me. You don't know who's watching.
Yeah. So you just got to go out there and do your best
You
while
gotta
doing
do the
it.
damn thing.
That's
You
right.
just gotta do it. You just gotta do it.
We're live here on VRC DJ Live with Creepy, and no, it's don't worry, I'm moving it along. Don't worry.
Sorry.
I know you're just like you keep on handling it, but yeah, we're sitting here with Creepy. Of course, we got people to chat with a bunch of questions as well, and getting involved, of course. And I know I wanted to go back a little bit about what saying find your style and find the kind of the niche that you're a part of, and the click and all that other sort of stuff. But I think what I want to do is I kind of want to open the doors to how you were able to find your style. Again, all I know is to define it as a Lolita style, but you have all of these really neat little J-pop fashion things, and obviously being a leader in all of this, and especially the people in your community really enjoy your art style. Tell us a little bit about how you were able to cultivate it and how you were able to showcase it off and build a community based off of this.
So, oh god, oh, I get to talk about.
Yeah,
So
fashion.
basically, I grew up pretty conservative. Like I grew up in a conservative family, which I know, shocking. And I grew up in a conservative family um of a bunch of born again Christians, and you know, as a queer person, like that nightmare. Um and when I was 18, so when I was a teenager, I knew about Harajuku fashion, but I was always put down because, you know, at that point I was like I was considered a man, big, hairy, gross, like all that, right? And like I would never be good enough for Harajuku fashion. Later on down the line, I relearned about it and I put my toe in. I remember oh God, it was fucking hideous. The first outfit I ever had was a bomber jacket that was a light blue and white, a Melanie Martinez shirt, gold tights, and white platforms. I still own the platforms to this day.
Oh.
Um, I think they're somewhere in my closet. These chunky white platforms and a hat, and a pastel blue, pink, yellow hat. And I looked in the mirror and I started crying because I was so excited. Like, this is like how I want to dress. Later on down the line, I found my community, which was the J Fashion community, one in New York. And slowly I kind of like found out what I wanted to do, which it turned into like Decora. It turned into this hyper neon chaotic mess. Which that was the style. That's literally what the style was. It was very chaotic. It was top. And I followed people like 6% Doki Doki, Haruka Kurabayashi, Kiari Pamu Pamu, Sebastian Masuda. I followed all these people, and like even now, like my nails are like inspired by 6% Doki Doki, Galaxy, like all these Japanese brands. And I grew up, and then slowly I was also a huge fan of horror, so I was trying to merge the two together. And when it came to that, it was hard to do, but I was the one that like really helped popularize like nosebleeds in makeup, but it had glitter in it. Crazy contacts, at least in my community, not as a whole. I would like to make that clear. Um, nosebleeds, bruises, like bruises, and then I had a cute little bandage over it. I started using prosthetics. I started wearing glare contacts, and like I don't want to say, of course, like I was the reason, right? But in the J fashion scene in my circles, it had picked up. People started picking up on it. And I started then eventually going into a style called Ishokuhara, which was, rough translation, different skin, where people would literally paint their faces and bodies different colors. So I would paint myself yellow, blue, green, pink, orange, not black, white. Um, I almost did gray, but I didn't want to be a homestuck, so and that also like added on top of my style. And eventually I got on a documentary called Hooked on the Look, and that showcased a lot of what I was wearing at that time. 2020 happened and I had a whole crisis. I had a crisis. Um which I don't want to talk about, because if I do, I'm going to ruin my makeup. Which then made me reevaluate a lot of what I wore. So I went back and I redid a lot of my wardrobe. Now, the three main styles that I wear are Lolita, which is a very rococo, very actually genuinely pure pure style, which is just like, it's supposed to be super cute. You're supposed to have like be very cutesy, very all that, right? Um Punk, which like I don't need to explain what the fuck punk is.
Mm.
And rave. I was a raver. Like I started getting into rave fashion. Which is like kind of like where Decora was. Like Decora was like this chaotic mess, and it was inspired by rave fashion. So a lot of the aesthetics from rave fashion would be like Space Channel 5, for example. That was something I pulled a lot. A lot of like Y2K future, like um a Futuro Arrow or something like that. That was something I really looked at. Very like old school future, where it was like you were looking at like the Jetsons. You were looking at like things like what would the 2000s look like back in the 1950s.
Hmm.
And like like everything was like bubbly and colorful, and it reinvigorated all of that love. But then I started including my horror aesthetics into it. So I was also including like these sclera lenses that like one of my eyes were bloodshot and the other one was completely black, and do makeup on top of it, whether it be prosthetics, whether it be um uh whether it be just eyeshadows. Like I would go out of my way to make this like a canvas of sorts where I would mix cute and scary, and then later on I would find out that's like uh a different type of fashion and aesthetic called gurokawa, or mea kawaii, which is gurokawa is grotesque cute, like grotesque kawaii, and mea kawaii is nightmare cute, nightmare kawaii.
Mhm.
And then that also has its own term, yami kawaii, yumi kawaii. That's a whole different. That's a shit show. But from there, I knew what I wanted to pick out and like pick and choose from these different fashions and different styles. And so I just went with it. I was like, and so that's what you see now, where like sometimes I'll look like this. I'll be like very cutesy, very girly, very like big nails and all this. But then I can do the same mug, but then my face is fucked. Like my face is like covered in scars, bruising, and like I'm missing an eye. Like I'm wearing an eye patch. There's like one of my nails looks like it got ripped off.
There's like a story to tell.
Like there's like a story to tell. And I guess you can also associate that with like my love for drag. Like I love drag. Like drag queens are my favorite thing. If I'm not DJing and I'm out, I'm going to see a drag show. So that's like another layer. Like it's layer on layer on layer.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually it all just kind of turned into like one huge thing. And you know, it can go all the way from recent as like the most recent horror film like Terrifier 3, or it can go all the way back to the 90s with the 90s gross out aesthetic. So for example, like Garbage Pail Kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like hello. Like I have a whole stack of vintage and new Garbage Pail Kids. Like
Just like right
it,
there.
but then you also have like Pokemon, and you also have Gloomy Bear. Gloomy Bear is like the biggest inspiration of my goddamn life. If you can't get behind, I got 50 of the bitches. I got 50 of the bitches. There's one sitting right here.
Perfect.
Like I really dedicate all like my time. I guess like a lot of the things like people make fun of is like, oh, everything you do is on brand, and I'm like, it's not just on brand. That's just my life. Like that's what I love. Like in front of me is like a cute manga, the Satanic Bible, a fucked up manga, and a thing that looks like an abortion on a fucking painting. And a chow.
And ciao.
And a chow. Like it like my and I look like this. And I look like this. Like my aesthetic is so very specific that like it's turned into, what is your aesthetic? And I'm like, sure.
What I find is so unique about all of this too is the fact that like you have, out of all of the things that you kind of like sponged into your life, it has made you very iconic when it comes to understanding how your art works, how iconic that it works really well with the music that you create. And what I also really love is that there are a ton of people in your community that love introducing Harajuku culture as well as horror culture and melding it together. Tell us a little bit about some of the opinions of the people that are in your community that feed off of that and create their own version of that. Because I'm sure you also have a lot of people in your life that has feed off of your icon and been able to build something just as similar to be able to meld within your community.
Right. Like my fans, they build off of it. They're cunt. Next question. Like, but in all seriousness, when it comes to it, like when they feed off of what I do, I even tell them like, Take whatever you want. However, remember, if you're trying to be me, that's not gonna happen. You can't do that. Not because I don't think you can. I just know you can't. Take what you want, but make it yours. Like, I want to come up to you. If we're wearing these types of nails, I don't want to see you try to copy my exact nails. I want to come up to you and be like, holy shit, your nails. Oh, like for example, if we're both wearing like a 6% charm, like I want to see the charm too. Like, I want to see what you have. Like, I want to be able to like grab your hand, look at your nails, and go, oh my god, like, is this like, and, like, really like feed off of you, as opposed, because like if you feed off of me and you come up with your own brand aesthetic, and then I come to you like, holy shit, I love your aesthetic, and like we're like locking hands because we want to see each other's. That's a good sign that you've like taken what I've done and made it.
What are some really cool examples that you've seen at some of your shows of some fans that have come by to really doll up?
I've had fans come to raves in Lolita, like full Lolita.
Let's go.
And I mean, like, in nails, heels, headdresses, dress, petticoat, full Lolita. And they'll come to me like, I love you so much. Like, you're so cool. I'm like, why are you in Lolita? What the fuck? And then I had Gyarus come. I've had Decora kids come. Decora makes more sense because, you know, it was fed off of rave culture. Rave culture, excuse me. I just wanted to make that clear. And I've seen them in their own styles, but like I can tell where these fashions are from. And I've had drag queens, I've had drag kings, I've had club kids, I've had all these different things and all these different styles to like come into the shows. And like what's even cooler is like I'll have someone go on before me and they'll be like, hey, I think your fans are here. The entire front row is J Fashion. And I'm like,
so cool. My people.
I'm like, yes. And I'm like, the girls came to the front. The girls knew exactly who. And like, that's the cool part, because some fans of mine obviously are much more toned down. But if they're a fan of mine and they're at my show, you will know exactly who they are. And that makes me so happy. Because that means that means I will also know who you are. And if I see you in the crowd, baby, if you have your phone like this, record, and I know you're recording, I'm taking your phone and I'm recording myself looking good. I've done, like, that's a staple at my show if I'm close enough. Like, I'll be like, give me your phone. And like, they'll let me take the phone, and everyone, they eat that up every single time.
Right? Nice little keepsake.
Yeah, because it's like, what's more iconic than the person who you're literally there for taking your phone?
Right.
And like I try to give it back. There was only one time I dropped the phone. I'm like, girl, why'd you drop it? And like, thankfully it didn't break, but they were like, oh my god, it was so... But there have been other times where a lot has happened where I've had major artists, unfortunately, take what I do and try to recreate it. Almost succeeded. Almost. Didn't always go through though.
Yeah.
Because they wanted what I already made and they couldn't do it.
That's a lot. There's a lot of things that you've done in the past several years that it's kind of hard to make instant. You know, like obviously it's within time. You can try. Yeah. No doubt.
I want you to do it. Fun. It's fun. You'll never end up the same. We'll never end up the same. But it'll be fun.
Now, moving kind of along with the different types of fashion, as we've been seeing all the different things that you have on your nails and how you get yourself all dolled up and made up, is I'm super interested, especially over the fact that this past couple of weeks We've had Virtual Market involved in VRChat and reintroducing a lot of Japanese culture. And I know you just recently had a little bit of an extended period of time to go over to Japan, brush up on a lot of these different things. Where do you kind of see Western culture starting to feed more into the Japanese culture? I know over time it's been a very slow grind, very slow process, especially even with anime conventions and pop culture conventions kind of coming up here and there. Where do you see it kind of going in the immediate future? Is it still going to be a slow grind to pick up, or do you think it's going to start picking up?
I think it's slowly gonna start picking up, but I think before it starts picking up, I think people need to like look at Japan and Japanese people and stop having this like extreme ideation of, oh, they're from Japan. Like it's not a mystery. Like that's what I'm that's when I think people will really sit down and go, okay, they're from Japan. These are cool things. Let's incorporate it. When people stop this weird fetishization of like Japanese people and like the idea of like how cool and like how like it's almost as if they're, this is a weird thing to say, but I've seen it as specifically in scenes where like it'll be like a cool show. Like for example, like let's say we go and I see Teddy Lord. I want to make it clear that like, hey, can we not just prioritize this person due to the fact they're Japanese? Let's prioritize them because they literally worked with someone who is a mainstream artist. At that point, I would understand. But I have seen this happen time and time again, where this weird fetishization of Japanese people will keep happening, and I don't think we'll grow and interlock like cultures until we stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Once we stop doing that, then we can have the party. And that's when I think it'll because then at that point we can actually meld together and be like, oh, that's why. Like I'm not a fan. Like for example, going all the way back to Flatline, I wasn't a fan of Miyosuke because he's he's like a Japanese EDM artist.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of him because his music is good. That's it. Like that's where it starts and that's where it stops.
Mm-hmm.
His music is good. His videos are cool. He's a cool person. That's it. Like it doesn't stop. It stops there.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are like, oh, they're from Japan, that's where that's where I start having an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like that is very weird. As someone who has worked with these, like have worked with these people, they're normal fucking people, dude. Like calm down. Like 10 to 2. I can understand like going to Japan because that's a whole different culture. Of course, like enjoy the culture, but also remember these are still people. Like these aren't like aliens or new human, like a new species of person. Like they're just a person.
Right.
And so that's when we stop mystifying Japanese people and stop mystifying like Asian culture as a whole. That's when I think we'll start like really melding together and being like, oh, okay, now we got a fucking party.
Now I know, like when we do have a lot of Japanese visitors coming to America, I feel like a lot of Americans, they're always expecting them like, oh, I want to go to McDonald's, I want burger, I want happy time, and they do English translation, and we enjoy that because it's very cutesy, very kawaii, and understanding like, oh, obviously want to try hamburger. But I would also assume the same thing for Americans that want to go to Japan. I feel like,
Right.
they automatically assume that sushi is like the number one thing. And while it could be a very popular dish to have,
It's not like it's actually like one of the most popular dishes in Japan from what I saw was actually curries. It was curry.
Okay.
And well, yeah, of course, like when Japan, when Japanese people come to the US, they want to try these American things, hamburgers and hot dogs and all this. that's fine. It's more so just like it almost feels like we don't need to like baby everyone. Like, and if like for example, I personally find it very endearing when a Japanese person is trying to speak English to me because it's just like they're trying and like I'm like I appreciate it, and that's the same thing the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
It's and that's what when I was in Japan, I had very very little um very little like Japanese. As in, and I would say like, you know, arigato gozaimasu, sumimasen. People would be like, people would
Oh, your
people
Japanese is
would
so
sorry,
good. Yeah.
like it's like oh like, yeah, like they'd be like what would they say? They're like what was it? There was this phrase that like became a shit post. It was a shit post that basically said your Japanese is so good. And
Mm,
I'm like, girl, I literally said sumimasen, kawaii, sugoi, or arigato gozaimasu.
mm-hmm.
Like that's it. Like I would be picking up words slowly. What was the that's gonna bother me.
I'm
Like
sure.
it
I'm
was
sure once you remember it, you're just gonna blurt it out, and we're gonna be like, "Oh
yeah.
yeah, that's true."
It's like but like and like it would turn like it's the culture exchange where it's like it doesn't feel weird. It was like, oh, you're like good job. Like I had dinner with Toriana and she tried to speak English with me and I tried to kind of speak Japanese with her. And it wasn't this like weird exchange. At one point we just started like we pulled out our phone and like typed it into translators.
Right. Right.
But it was the point of just like we were exchanging how to talk, and that was what made it endearing and loving as opposed to um what was it, as opposed to like me going, oh you're so cute, oh kawaii, like oh my
Mm.
god you're so cute, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I personally don't like that.
The sugar
I think
words. The sugary.
yeah, like I'm like I don't know, when people do that I feel like okay, you're a baby, you're babying probably an adult, like that's weird.
Right. Right.
They're trying, like you should appreciate what they're doing, but I don't think you need to baby them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be like, "Hi," like, daijoubu, daijoubu," like you're like learn little pieces. Like, it go like me saying sumimasen and pointing at something at a menu helped more than saying like that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just need
Yeah.
this.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna
Like,
say something. I'm gonna say something that's gonna be. It's gonna roll your head, all different ways. But let's just say that you want to go to Japan, and like in particular, my case, obviously Hatsune Miku. It's kind of a big popular culture. I think a lot of people on the Western side, especially with Miku Expo just coming around, being able to relate that type of thing. And I wouldn't even want to even begin with Pokemon. You know, obviously you go in there with your cards, you travel to Japan with your Pokemon cards, but I like Pokemon, you know. So understanding those types, those immediate two types, and being able to push that kind of from the Western culture back into Japan,
mhm.
is that do you think that could be just enough to even start some sort of a transitional conversation with them?
I think it could be a start. It could be a start, but when it comes to Pokemon, Pokemon's already integrated. Pokemon's already like in the US. Hatsune Miku, on the other hand, people need to kind of like get used to it. And I don't think they'll fully get used to it until now, due to the push of AI. And before anyone asks and says, no, Hatsune Miku is not fucking AI. However, it's the idea of, oh, is Hatsune Miku AI? And then the question, once that question goes, the right person can go, oh, she's not AI, she's a vocal synthesizer. Let's show you some things about her. And then that's when like the ball can start rolling, because that goes into, oh, that's really cool. Hatsune Miku is like a singer that you can have. Like I can literally, I think, if I'm right, if I can open this drawer, I cannot open this drawer.
Not with those nails.
Let, shut up. Like, if I can open this drawer, I can literally Aha, I can open this drawer.
There it is.
She's right here. She's right here. Like Hatsune Miku, live and in color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cool that the fact that this is something that it's cool. Like Hatsune, so Vocaloid as a whole is cool, but I think there needs to be a bigger push that brings out the American market.
I was going to ask you a little bit about it. Obviously, I think a lot of people in our community, they have also continued to recognize you for your contributions with Hatsune Miku and producing and stuff like that. I know that was a whole different chapter in your life, but it's still kind of there.
It's
obviously, and then obviously also bringing up the fact that you also got to continuously work with Miku Expo to be able to showcase all of that sort of stuff. Give us a little bit of an opinion on where that is headed. I don't want to just say just that alone, but obviously Miku culture and Western civilization has also grown so large compared to actually just going over to Japan and learning all that sort of stuff, but able to bring it in. Where do you even see it, even outside of the whole controversy of like the LED screen?
You have to bring up the LED screen. I'm sorry, that shit was so funny to me. I'm sorry. Everyone who was pissed about it, shut the fuck up. Like, that was funny. I personally, okay, hot take. I like the screen. I thought it was cool. And everyone was like, "Oh, but like it looks so weird from the side." So did the hologram. You saw the light at the end of the hologram. You saw where it was weirder. And even on the side, like you can see the side of the screen. So what? You can also see the side of. We're not getting into that. But God, you really brought up that LED screen. Shit.
Well, I mean, it's either that or like
funny.
The fact that like
funny.
listen, let's be real. Hatsune Miku's awesome, but there's been a lot of fans that were really upset over the fact that they even spent $400 tickets, $400 on their tickets to see the LED screen when they technically could just watch them on TV, I guess, right?
I mean, but when it comes to all of this, I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. This is like the one
take us
time
back. I'll put you in the right direction. Take us to where like how popular Hatsune Miku was when you were producing with her, and then kind of go into where she is as far as her production value is right now with all of the other artists that you know have been using her a lot with a lot of their productions.
So when I started, when I was around, she was still a niche. But then when like the English Vocaloid scene was getting bigger, that's when people in the West were starting to notice her too. So we had her like, for example, play on David Letterman. We had memes about her everywhere. She was everywhere in the US at one point.
Yeah, then she opened up for Katy Perry at some point in time too.
She opened up for Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, yeah.
He had Mikunopolis, which then eventually turned into Miku Expo. Yeah, she was a staple for a lot of things. And then eventually, we got Miku Expo. But then slowly but surely, like while in our scene she was still big, like in the like anime scene, she was just like she's become an icon. The grand scheme of things, she's still a niche. She's not at the caliber of like she's not like at the caliber of what's your name, like of like what people really know here, which is like the basics of like Dragon Ball, Naruto, Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Like even Yu-Gi-Oh comparatively is like not crazy, like comparatively to like back in the day where Yu-Gi-Oh was this like, oh, dual monsters, da da da, and then like that trend just kind of kept going. With Hatsune Miku, it's a little harder because it's like, yes, it's music, but like, do people want to listen to a vocal synthesizer? And that's where like, for example, in the music scene, that's more interesting. And I can see her getting really far in the music scene. So like we've already seen her with like I believe it was Set It Off. We've seen it with Porter. We've seen a full artist like Yami, use Vocaloid. Like that's the main person that sings everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like not Hatsune Miku, but like Vocaloid.
Sure.
I've already said Porter. And
Oh,
we've
she recently
seen
did something with Ado.
she did something, but that's also like a Japanese pop
Oh,
star.
true. Yeah.
Like Zed at one point. Zed was he did a remix of Clarity and used Hatsune Miku English.
Hey.
And there were little bits and pieces that were everywhere of Hatsune Miku, but I don't think unless there is something insane like Anamanaguchi Miku, hello?
Right. Yep.
Like how can I forget Anamanaguchi? Shout out Anamanaguchi, love you. Mwah. Um but then at this in the same breath, she's only had these features and pop-ups, but she hasn't had her whole feature. And like I think it's going to take something crazy for her to have this huge pop-up of like, okay, she's going to be mixed into Western culture. I'm sorry to say, even Coachella, that wasn't big enough.
Mm.
She needs something big. If Gaga couldn't do it, if Coachella couldn't do it, if Anamanaguchi couldn't do it, what can? And that's the question. Like she collaborates everywhere. And
Right.
I don't think I genuinely do not think it's not impossible. However, I think it's going to be difficult.
Do you think 2025 is going to be her year, though, to continue
No.
on? No.
I don't think so. I think unless they do a big overhaul with her vocals, like literally an overhaul with her vocals where she does not sound like a vocal synthesizer, I do not think that's possible. However, hearing some of the bits and pieces of what we have heard, who knows? I want to be proven wrong. I love being proven wrong when it comes to shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
But with Hatsune Miku, while yes, she gave me my career, I'm also gonna stand here and like be critical and be like, I think something insane with her needs to happen.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
It's been a long time. Like it's only a matter of time before something even bigger happens.
Maybe Domino's can pick her back up again or something.
No.
No.
That's not happening. Love the app though.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're still here with Creepy and VRC DJ Live. We've only got a couple more minutes left, and of course, for those people that are in chat, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them off because we have time with Creepy right now out of all such a busy schedule. And of course, we have to touch a little bit upon not only just the future of what Creepy's got coming on down the line, but let's talk a little bit about Sam and Yoav of the Living Tombstone. Talk to us about how they picked you up, put you on this tour. What happened? How awesome was this?
Okay. There's actually a huge story when it comes to me opening for the Living Tombstone. There was a huge story with that. But I want to start with that I knew Sam and Yoav years ago. I knew Sam and Yoav before Sam joined the Living Tombstone.
Mm.
I knew Yoav, who was the creator of the Living Tombstone, back when he lived here in New York. He lived in New York for 2-3 years. He saved me from homelessness. He would he needed someone to do odd jobs, and I would do a very specific one. And to kind of like be a little more personal here, this was also the point where I was really, really heavy into drugs. So he kind of saw, like, kind of through it and was like, hey, are you okay? And like, obviously I lied and said fine. And so we kept in contact. We were still friends even after he moved to Los Angeles. And I was like, I was super concerned. And at that point, all of my friends were moving to LA. And so I would try to contact him, he was super busy, so I couldn't really contact him. And I met Sam through Yoav, but me and Sam never talked. He was always to himself. And at one point I thought Sam did not like me. And this is a conversation I already had with Sam. And so at one point I thought he did not like me. And I was like, did I do anything? I don't think so. But I thought it was just my personality. So years down the line, right? Years down the line, they announced the tour. And for the Tennessee date, they had my friend McGuire open. During this time, I was going to Cincinnati to take my photo shoot for something that is coming out soon. And I got a DM from the Living Tombstone saying, "Hey, McGuire got COVID. Are you willing to fly out to Tennessee to do this show?" I believe it was in Nashville. And I was like, fuck, like, I don't think I'm not able to go due to the fact I'm gonna be in Cincinnati. I'll keep you posted though. So we're talking, and I tell the photographer, who's also my friend, shout out Cydia, mwah, I love you. I tell her about it, and she goes, "Oh, that's 3 hours away." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's 3 hours away." And she's like, "Yeah, do you want to take the gig?" What? And she's like, "Yeah, I will more than happy drive you if you can let me in and take photos." I hit up Sam that moment because Sam was the one speaking to me, and I was like, "Can I have this and this?" And they were like, "That's not a problem." I had to bring my own gear, however, once that happened, it was a wrap. Like, we knew it was gonna happen. And so I got announced. A lot of people were excited to see me. This was when I finally realized, like, oh, people care about me. People like what I do. And we did the show. It was beautiful. Like, I got security dancing. I had the photographer dance with me at one point. Whole nine. Show ends. My friend gets vinyls, and I talked to Sam and Yoav, and I said, if you want me to, I would love to do the Toronto show. I can get to Toronto easy. They said they'll think about it. Weeks go by. I get a DM. Hey, was that offer still on the table? This time around, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more anal this enough time now. And they were like, it's not a problem. What do you need? I got everything that I needed, excluding hotel, only because of the fact I was going to be with a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Literally did not hesitate. I got everything done. I brought merchandise. I brought everything that you could possibly need. I had a handler that like went out of her way to come see me at the show and sell for me at the show. Shout out Ghost Girl Goods. I love you. Mwah. You saved my life. And I did the show, and I spoke to them again, and I was like, holy shit, like, you actually did it. Like, you actually brought me out to Toronto. And they were like, yeah, like, people liked you. People really fucking liked you in Nashville. And we saw. And that was really cool to, like, kind of get that recognition from Yoa, Sam. And before the first show started with Yoav, me and him, I'm gonna ruin my makeup when I say this, I know it. I was talking to Yoav. He essentially, like, was speaking to me, is like, I am so proud of you. And I'm really happy you didn't quit. And, like, that's one thing when it's, like, your friend, right? This wasn't just also my friend. This was someone I looked up to. Like, this is Yoav of the Living Tombstone. So to have him say it.
And it's not just you too. It's both of you. You both have been making it.
They obviously both give a fuck about what I do.
Yeah.
So seeing them, like, I don't know, it just like really like set something off in my brain, and I was like, yeah. It turned into I can't let yo off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gotta keep going.
Right. People are rooting for you. But you're also kicking ass. You're doing that.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
mean,
that's
I'm doing the damn thing.
this
but it
is
was
your
just,
time. It's like I'm not saying that it's funny that you're crying, but it's like one of those moments that when you do get your reward, and now you see how other people are crying when they get their award, and they're up there and being like, "Oh my gosh, it's finally!"
like I get it now. Like
it's
I get why
finally,
people are
yeah.
boohooing.
So it's
Like I
finally
get
your
it now.
moment to
Like,
do that. Yeah, and it's
and
perfectly
so
acceptable to do
now,
that.
and so being able to sit here and go like, fuck, like Yoav is on my side. Sam
Mm-hmm.
is on my side. I have the Living Tombstone on the Living Tombstone. What the fuck? Like I have the Living Tombstone. I have so many different people on my side, and it will continuously be just a jump scare of who is on my side. And so once that show happened, I talked to them again, and they were like, "Dude, you did good. Good job." And I was like, "Fuck!" Like
Now they know.
and I was like, "Fuck, dude." And but I would like to say that was the best merch sales I've ever. That was the best merch sales I have ever gotten. And I will say a majority of my merch is gone now. I think I have like 3 to 6 shirts now. I had one.
Ready for
I had
2025
one.
merch.
Um oh, there will be 2025 merch. However, this merch needs to go. So if you see me at a show and I have merch, grab it because I will either A, give it away, or B, throw it out.
Yeah, and actually,
So,
we are running short on time, so I want to be able to cover as much as we possibly can.
yeah.
But leading into 2025, we're only like a week away. What can we expect from Creepy in the new year?
I have a lot in store. I was supposed to have my next single out, but something happened and I can't really talk about it. We had to delay it. The single will be out hopefully late January. Um, there is a bigger thing in being wrapped together right now. Um, as well as more releases with Attack the Music, my label, which is a brand new thing that happened. If you didn't know, um, there's gonna be more gigs. I already have all the way up to I have January. I have January already done. Parts of March, April, and May done. February is like the only month as of right now that has no shows in it. I think. But there is something lurking and it's slowly creeping up, and there's a lot of things that I can't talk about due to the contract. So I can't say a word. But there are a couple major things I'm like, we saw this coming. Yeah, that sounds right. Or holy shit. And I kind of told Rob, and I will leak this information. I told Rob one of them earlier that it
I'm,
might happen.
I'm not saying that there are a couple things I know that will be fire in 2025, but ooh.
But I will just say if it goes through,
Now the word's gonna be ooh, ooh. That's it. Everyone's gonna.
Rob a phone call from me is hysterical. Like,
Ooh.
like I'll be like, Rob, I'm good. I'm ending my career. I'm set now.
Oh man, I'm so excited for you. And before we actually get on out of here, why don't you tell everybody who's watching and at home where to find you?
So you can find me everywhere at It's Creepy, ITSCREEPP. You can stream me on Spotify at Creepy. And you can every now and then I do stream. Every now and again. To be fair, all my fans know that I'm busy, so I can't really stream all that much. Um I've considered a few things in streaming, and I've also considered something with long form content, but like that's not going to be music related. It will actually probably be movie related. So,
Ooh.
if you are a fan of horror films, like, well, you might see something of me giving my hot takes with horror films. I like movies.
That's
What
yeah,
can I say?
I'm excited already. I'm just like my brain is going numb just thinking about all the things that I could be watching that you're gonna keep pushing out.
Yeah,
When it comes to that, 'cause I like horror
I
films
know
too. I'm
after
like,
this we're gonna
ooh.
talk about like that little moment because I don't even think I've told you about that yet.
Nah, but again, me, I'm just sitting here like, oh man, if I had a lot more time to kill on the show, I probably would have been able to talk to you about it. But Creepy, thank you so much for being a part of VRC DJ Live, and of course, we were gonna have you on even further with more promotional stuff.
Yes, I love you. Thank you for
Awesome.
having me, Rob. Thank you. Thank you to the whole team. Thank you. Look at the nails again. We gotta look at the nails again.
See, that's what I get to look forward to in the next couple of weeks or something, unless we meet up anytime sooner than that, of course.
Oh, please. We've met up like how many times at this point? Like it's only a matter of
Yeah,
time.
it's bound to happen. But
It's
Creepy,
bound to
again, thank
happen.
you so much for coming on the show. And for those people that are in the chat, of course, you can follow Creepy on the link tree that we have provided for you down here, as well as on Spotify as well to check out all the new stuff. Thank you guys so much for coming by for VRC DJ Live. Of course, we're gonna have all the highlights and replays up on YouTube fairly shortly within this weekend. And of course, coming up this weekend, I believe we're going to be announcing it on Saturday. But Saturday, up on our social medias, we are going to be announcing our complete lineup of people coming in for January, with our next guest actually being Electro. And Electro is going to be sitting in with us to talk about all of the prefab stuff that he's been working on, as well as his mark in the VRChat community with a lot of the disco and throwbacks that he loves to perform. So for everybody here, for Creepy, and for our staff, my name is Rob Roman. And guys, thank you so much for watching VRC DJ Live. We will see you next Thursday. Bye-bye.